Eng 24-hour laundromat promise on the dryer sheet. The laundromat on 3rd and Juniper is open all night for people who come here to sort things by temperature and pretend that makes them manageable. At 2 in the morning, it has the feel of a chapel with bad lighting. The change machine sermonizes in quarters, the soda machine hums a secular hymn, and the TVs play 10-year-old game shows no one is watching. I slid my phone face down into my left pocket, the pocket I use for things that are supposed to make it home, and fed a fistful of coins into a washer that promised to know the difference between delicate and disaster. Back home, Bennett had said, "Can we talk tomorrow?" in the voice that means please stay now. Our couch has learned to be a courtroom. If we sit at opposite ends long enough, it swears us in and hands out verdicts we don't have the budget to appeal. I left before either of us rehearsed speeches we'd choke on at breakfast. On the sidewalk, my screen lit with a message from D. Dylan in my contacts, D in the way I label hazards to make them smaller. Spin room, 10 minutes, just talk. By day, I fix other people's paragraphs for a firm that thinks clarity will save the world if we put it in a PDF. By night, I try not to turn my own into weapons. Bennett and I keep a code that works when we remember it. T means come here, you awake. Means I'm scared. Tomorrow means not yet, but don't go far. Dylan drifted back into orbit 2 months ago when the building's dryer died a martyr, and I came here with a bag and bad timing. He was the type of man who makes a change counter look like a stage. Sleeves pushed, collar unpunished, a laugh that sounded like a glass agreeing to be set down gently. He didn't ask for anything. That was how I started bringing him everything. He stood by the washer with a grease pencil behind his ear and a dryer sheet packet on the ledge like an altar. "You came," he said, "because men never get tired of pretending arrival is a twist." "I came to return something," I said. "My roll of quarters, your restraint." "Your name," I said. "It's been on my mouth too long for its own health." He pulled a dryer sheet from the box, the kind that smells like something people in commercials never regret, and set it on the edge of the folding table. He placed a pen on top, the cheap kind with heroic ambition. "3 words," he said. "Why are you here?" "3 words is cruel," I said. "That's why they work." He angled the sheet as if it needed light. "No speeches in the spin room. People get dizzy." I wrote proud at breakfast. Beneath it, smaller like a fuse I might or might not light, touch before arguing. He read the ink as if it had temperature. He didn't touch me. His hand hovered a breath from my lapel, the distance a match keeps during training, and fell away like the security camera had a vote. "Does he know?" Dylan asked. He didn't need to weaponize the pronoun. "He knows the apartment is quiet," I said. A machine 3 aisles down clicked into its final rinse like a decision finally making itself. He stepped into my weather, heat arriving before hands do when men are trying to be better than their appetites. "Tell me no," he said softly, and almost made it sound like mercy. I didn't. I met him in the inch that rewrites evenings. His mouth tasted like mint and the idea of citrus. When his hand found the back of my neck, his grip remembered humane limits. My body answered like a courtroom that wants the witness anyway. He made the sound men make when a small country surrenders and calls it diplomacy. I made the one I've learned not to hate when it belongs to him. We didn't rush. The spin cycle punished speed. His mouth found the hinge of my jaw. Mine found the line behind his ear where regret loses vocabulary. His palm slid under my shirt and rested flat a second. "Do you swear?" Then moved with attention rather than appetite. He guided my hand down with the steadiness of someone who respects tools. I closed my fingers and he exhaled against my mouth a truth nobody paid to hear. He reached for me and I let him. We stayed quiet because fluorescent light prefers prose. A dryer thumped obediently behind us, the soundtrack for two men practicing gentleness inside poor decisions. "We already cheated," he said when breath remembered its job. "We cheated when we started telling each other the truth before we told it at home." "I know," I said. A red sock clung to a sheet on the glass like a warning label that chose not to shout. He folded the dryer sheet and slid it into my left pocket with ceremonial slowness. His thumb traced my wrist once, choosing not to stay. He stepped back the moral inch that passes inspection. "I booked a motel room," he said, not triumphant. "Weather report, not prophecy. Refundable. We could stand at the window and not touch for 60 seconds just to prove we remember ceremony. We could keep the do not disturb honest." "I'm tired of being clever," I said. "Clever's fabric softener," he said. "Smells good doesn't fix the weave. Accurate is detergent." He reached into the vending machine and coaxed loose a novelty magnet shaped like a little laundry basket, ridiculous and perfect, and pressed it into my palm. "For your fridge," he said. "Cold helps letters behave." A washing machine beeped like a child trying to be brave. We moved my clothes into a dryer together, performing the choreography of domesticity with hands that didn't trust themselves. He slid quarters into the slot and the drum took the cue. "Text me a weather report in the morning," he said. "Tell me if the kettle beat the reasons." "It usually does," I said, "when we let it." Outside, the city had chosen a temperature and meant it. The crosswalk gave me time, I took it. The apartment offered its square of kitchen light and the fridge's patient hum. Bennett sat on the floor with his back against the door, sleeves pushed to his elbows, one ankle crossed over the other, the posture manuals use when they draw people who are about to fix things. He didn't ask where I'd been. He tilted his head toward the place beside him. I sat. "Do you want to be asked?" he said, voice steady, not performing mercy, offering it. "Please," I said, because prompts are the scaffolding of my better self. "Are you lonely?" "Some nights," I said. "Not here. Not when you ask first. Not when the kettle outruns the reasons." I took his wrist and placed his hand on my forearm the way he does when he needs to check that I'm not inventing weather. His thumb traced once and decided to believe me. "I feel useful," he said. "I want to be wanted before I'm useful." "Tonight's procedure," I said. "Touch first, argue second, report later." The kettle clicked like a stamp in a country that still believes in mail. He poured water over mint. We named it dinner because names are cheaper than regret. I pinned the dryer sheet beneath the laundry basket magnet so Proud at Breakfast faced the room. Bennett read the ink and his mouth did the smaller, braver thing. He took the dry erase marker from the cup by the fridge and wrote beneath the magnet, "Tomorrow, keep the torque." He didn't grin. He nodded like a man assembling a morning from honest screws. We made a rule that isn't noble. When prosecution tries to wear a bathrobe, one of us says laundromat and the other puts the kettle on while the first puts his hands where history can find them. 5 words when 5 are enough. Stop at the shoulder, not the ditch. Try to want what we promised, and when we don't, write 3 words on small paper and tell the room where we'll fail differently tomorrow. Days do what days do when you're trying to be an amateur human with professional consistency. The sheet in my pocket learned the shape of my left hand. Paper learns its carriers. On the late bus, I drafted messages to no one that began "I didn't ask" because I thought that counted as kindness and ended "May your breakfast go right." I didn't send them. The not sending felt like a skill borrowed from lint traps. Catch, clean, repeat. A week later, afternoon tried to be a test. An author wanted me to make it sparkle without throwing water on the flames. The subway decided to be philosophical about schedules. I walked past the laundromat and bought nothing. I left a bottle of water by the plastic chairs with a note, "For whoever is waiting for a sister." The night attendant glanced up and gave me the nod bridges use when they've held and will hold again. On my way home, I slipped a blank claim ticket into my pocket and wrote "Turn" toward your name across the clean side. I didn't light anything. Dylan and I adjusted our grammar. Fewer messages. No motels with curtains pretending to be honesty. If we failed quieter. If we stopped without applause. Still, we orbited. He texted a photo of the lost and found basket with my initials hidden on a tag that wasn't mine. I replied with steam curling over 2 mugs and Bennett's unshowy script under the magnet, torque. We flirted by stain removers. We confessed by rinse cycles. Thunder tried to rearrange the neighborhood one evening. The laundromat filled with people who didn't trust their wiring and people like me who didn't trust themselves. Dylan put out a bucket, swore at a leak with reverence, and we moved machines a half-inch to please a floor that wanted something reasonable. When the storm played fair for a minute, he tugged me into the storage closet that smelled like cardboard and the past. He kissed me with a hunger that didn't apologize. My back met the metal shelving, his hand found my hip. Somewhere a box of unsold hanger packets pretended to mind its business. We didn't rush. We mapped mercy with our mouths and rehearsal with our hands. His palm slid under my shirt and paused. "Do you swear?" Then moved only as far as the better version of me allowed. I bracketed him with a grip he could leave without proving anything. He reached for me and I let him. We stayed quiet because the storm already had the louder lines. "We're bad at quitting," he said into my shoulder. "We're good at failing differently," I said into his collar. He laughed, soft and stubborn, and it felt like a prayer that refused to be formal. "Text me a weather report in the morning," he said. "Tell me if the kettle beat the reasons." "It usually does," I said, "when we let it." Bennett met me at home with the posture of a question he had decided not to weaponize. He smelled like dish soap and forgiveness that hadn't been signed yet. He asked, hungry, without turning it into a trap. We ate toast like it had been newly invented. After, he wrote under the magnet, "Ask before leaving." I wrote, "Hold me first." We left the ink to dry on the night like newly washed shirts. The firm ran my edit of a scandal-leaning piece and asked me to replace all references to scandal with incident, as if synonyms did housekeeping for truth. I did it because rent is realistic. Dylan sent me a picture of a note someone had left on a machine. "Sorry for stealing your spin." I texted back a picture of our magnet and the sheet under it. We kept each other's jokes safe like evidence we preferred to file under mercy. By then I had stopped pretending I didn't know the inventory of Dylan's hands. The callus near the base of the thumb from coin trays, the small nick on the index from a dryer door that wanted drama, the way his wrists turned gently as if memory were a hinge. I realized I knew Bennett's hands the way you know your own doorway, not with less love, with fewer questions. He noticed my noticing. On a Tuesday morning he asked if the quiet had a name. I told him it did. I told him it smelled like detergent and risk. I told him I didn't know how not to be curious. He listened like a careful man assembling a chair he planned to sit in. He didn't punish me with silence. He didn't promote me with absolution. He said, "Stay while you figure it out, but don't make me a room you visit only when the machines are broken." I took the sheet out of my pocket and turned it over. I wrote 3 new words that looked like they'd been waiting for a clean surface. "Choose the hard." He read them and nodded once, as if that were a currency we could spend exactly once a day. The next week the laundromat posted a sign about new hours that were exactly the same as the old ones. The joke made me want to be better. I brought the laundry basket magnet back and pressed it into Dylan's palm. "For your locker," I said. "Cold helps letters behave." He closed his hand around it like a prayer he wouldn't say out loud. "We can stop," he said. He meant I won't make you the worst thing about yourself. "I don't know how," I said. "I meant I might learn." We stood by the front window, not touching, while a stranger counted quarters like a method for staying alive. In that small, ordinary noise we agreed to less. Fewer messages. No closets. If we stayed cleaner. If we broke gently. It wasn't noble. Nobility is a word I don't trust anymore. It was procedural, like separating reds because you have learned something about rules and regret. Weeks blurred in the way honest calendars do. Breakfast became a place with rules. No phones at the table. No rehearsed cruelty before coffee. No pretending tomorrow is a closet where tonight can hang unexamined. Some mornings Bennett asked if Dylan made me feel seen. I told him yes, and that being seen isn't the same as being kept. He nodded like a map allowing a road to be closed without deleting it. On a Sunday, I walked past the laundromat and left a small stack of dryer sheets with a note, "For whoever is waiting for a sister." The attendant pinned it to the corkboard with a pushpin shaped like a lemon. Dylan didn't text. I didn't either. The quiet did not feel like punishment. It felt like trying to be exact. That night we ate pancakes and failed less dramatically than usual. Bennett wrote under the magnet, "Read me closely." I wrote, "Handle with care." We signed it with our names like two men who finally trust the paperwork. I still carry the folded dryer sheet in my left pocket. It warms against my leg like a small, unlicensed gravity, heavier than it has any right to be. Sometimes, when I'm on the bus pretending not to practice apologies, I take it out and read what we wrote in a room that smelled like coins and noise. Proud at breakfast. Touch before arguing. Choose the hard. None of them are magic. All of them are maps. The laundromat keeps its own morality. People come here to spin and rinse and believe in second chances that smell like something called spring. Outside, the city returns to its busy innocence. Inside, our kitchen hums its modest hymn. Bennett leans against the counter and asks, "Are you staying?" without making it a trap. "I'm trying to want what I promised," I say. "Help me make more minutes where that's easy." He nods, takes my wrist, and places my palm on his chest like a book I'm allowed to open again. The room does not demand a verdict. The morning remembers its job. And when we say tomorrow out loud, it means only what we let it mean.